Welcome to the ODT podcast. Who are you and what do you do?
I'm a fucking crazy Homo sapien here on this rock they call planet Earth, and I like to get people to open up their armor and talk to me about anything and everything that they're loving or struggling with in their personal life, their relationships, and beyond. So, in that, I selfishly get super blessed to have a real view of my community and the human experience and being able to learn from others their wisdom of their journeys and how it relates to my journey and my struggles. And yeah, in the world of capitalism, we call this a licensed marriage and family therapist.
Right.
And I'm also a certified sex therapist and a MAPS trained MDMA psychedelic therapist.
Nice. Before we started, you started talking about how they were doing something with psilocybin mushrooms and
Yeah.
kicking things back up.
Yeah, so it's an exciting time here in our home of Colorado. As many know, that we, following Oregon, are second state to legalize the use of psilocybin and other natural medicines through the Natural Medicine Health Act that went into effect this last year. But the Colorado Department of Regulatory Agencies, the people who kind of govern the professions and tell us how to jump through those hoops,
Right.
are finalizing their process, and they're meeting with folks like us, therapists, to try to tell them what we want or don't want, and other folks, indigenous healers and other folks from other paths of healing, to try to figure out how to make this accessible, not overly expensive, feasible, safe, all that and more, which should be finalized here at the end of 24.
Nice. I know I had spoken to my buddy Cody. He was on the psychedelic podcast that I had, and it was kind of touching on all those things, but I know he had mentioned that they were starting to try and start some programs out at the VA, at the Loveland VA, to kind of
Ketamine?
I think so. I can't remember.
Sure.
It escapes me, but I know what we were talking about was all I was tracking was that they legalized psilocybin mushrooms or decriminalized it in Denver, but that was it.
That was the first wave, which was a few years prior. But the whole state, it was like 52%, 48 or something. It was really close. But
Right.
and natural medicines includes mescaline and peyote, DMT. Yeah, so it's not just psilocybin, but psilocybin is the first one that they're kind of focusing on.
It's like the lube to get
Sure.
I mean, because their main thing is just making sure that they can get tax money out of it.
That's definitely a big motive for a lot of people, for sure, and that's where we don't want that to be the whole agenda.
Yeah. And it's good that there are people that actually know what they're talking about when it comes to that, and have the forethought of going to town hall meetings or wherever it is that they actually talk about this stuff and make the rulings on it, or at least talk to the people that have their hands in all of that and are the ones that make those decisions, because I know that's got to be the biggest pain in the butt, is when people that make the decisions for it have no idea what they're talking about. They've never even thought about doing anything, mushrooms, DMT, whatever.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's really scary to think about how many people, like you're saying, haven't had any experience with these medicines and then are trying to advise. It's like, get the heck out of the room and come back when you've tried something. But yeah, that's really cool, because they're doing, even this Friday, they're doing another update live town hall that anyone can jump in on Zoom and be a part of that conversation. And
do you know what that's on?
What do you mean? I don't have the
like,
website memorized, but I can send it to you.
Like, if you went through denvercolorado.gov or something.
I'm in a group with other psychedelic professionals, and so it's on an email chain that I've got.
Right.
There is a website on the states that will get you there. I can send you.
I'll get it after
yeah.
this, and I'll make sure that it's at the bottom of the podcast video, so that anyone in it, and if it's not in it right now, it'll be at the end of the podcast with all the other info that I usually put up, or memes or something. But no, that's awesome. I know the biggest issue when it came to marijuana or CBD or anything like that, the big issue was convincing the people that make those decisions that it's not just to, get high, or it's not just to, you know, fiddle fart around. It's actually helping people that have physical issues, seizures, stuff like that, and making it to where they can live life comfortably, And I don't know if you've ever seen that video that I think it was like a teenage kid or something. He was like 12, 13, but he has like 50 seizures a day, and then they put a couple drops. It was
Rick
like a
Simpson oil.
1-in-1. A what?
I didn't know you were going to. The Rick Simpson oil, where it's that like extract that's really potent and
Yeah,
really helps with seizures,
and he goes from like shaking to just,
Yeah.
which, I mean, for a lot of people, that's a gigantic deal. With I don't know if I talked to you about this when, just so the listeners know, we met on a hike through Marshall, who was another guy I had on a podcast. Super awesome guy, love him. He's got a foundation, and they put together a hike, and it's Combat Recovery Foundation, right? And they're amazing. And we basically did a little commercial going all the way up. I think I can add a link to it, but it's trying to edit this stuff and like put it on YouTube is like pulling teeth, because there's like rules. You have to wait like 30 days for stuff. So, but either way,
I saw him posted on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, no. I
commercial
put
is-
his info on there,
Yeah.
especially because he's like, no, if you have any issues, call this number. I'm like, dude, I'm putting it on video. So he's amazing. But that's how we met, and on the walk down, we kind of just chit chatted the whole time, because I'm definitely one of those guys that likes to hear as many different sides of something as I can before I make like a big decision.
I was gonna say it's some heart to heart chit chat. It was deep.
Oh, dude, 100%. I think you cried at one point. No,
I'm surprised if I don't.
yeah, right. No, it was definitely it was a good hike. My back was killing me after. That was the one thing that I told Marshall afterwards. I was like, I'm definitely down to do this like every couple months or something, but like if you make this a weekly thing, I'm gonna have to.
Well, you're supposed to walk on both feet, not crawl on all four.
Yeah, well, towards the end, that's how I felt, dude. I was dying, and my I told him and a couple other people about this, but I can't remember if we talked about it. Kratom, as far as
Was that
using
helping
that,
you?
oh, dude,
Yeah.
to a crazy amount. It's I don't take a crazy amount, but that compared to taking tramadol or Oxycontin or anything that might be given to me by the VA to help with that back pain, it's or sciatica or any of those issues that I have. Kratom makes it to where now I don't feel groggy, I don't feel ridiculously tired, I don't feel high, anything like that.
It
It's
helps with
just
your back pain.
yeah,
Oh,
dude,
okay.
100%. It's helped me as far as pain goes. There's different versions of it. Red
Yeah.
Mangda, Green Mangda. I'm
Yeah.
kind of finding I usually stick with green.
And that's a
Mangda.
root origin, right? Does that come from a root, kratom?
From a leaf. It's a dried up, crushed up leaf. And
Leaf.
everybody, dude, I say this like a million times a year. It's a dried up, crushed up leaf from Indonesia.
That's right.
And there's this awesome podcast about it. I think it's A Leaf of Faith.
Nice.
Is the name of the documentary, and it's the guy who did Bigger, Faster, Stronger. I don't know if you ever seen that
I don't think I have.
documentary. That's an awesome documentary. It's
Nice.
about steroids and how pharmaceutical companies are pushing to keep people from being able to do tests using steroids. We don't know the effects that Tren has over 5-year period as far as like an actual scientific study goes. A lot of people know what it does over 5 years, but like they're not within those parameters that studies make for you. And I mean, the documentary is amazing,
Yeah.
and it's got a bunch of nostalgic music like Hulk Hogan's "I Am a Hit," like that's the first song in the first 5 minutes, and you're just like, all right, I'm in. So, but he also had issues
I was
with
just
back
watching
pain.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's documentary like a month ago.
Which one
I don't know which one. The only one I've seen, but it was on Netflix.
is
And
it?
I
The
think it came
Pumping
out.
Iron,
I think
like his
so.
old one?
It's recent. It
Oh,
came out more
dude.
recent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Pumping Iron. That's a documentary everybody
But
should watch.
it gets into his like relationship with his dad and how that was.
Oh
what
yeah, no,
motivated
I don't
him.
think it's Pumping Iron then.
Yeah.
Because in that he's like, when I work out, it's like coming. When I do my legs, it's like coming. And you're just like, all right, man. Now I want to work out. I want to feel like that. And I mean, man, I wish I had that feeling when it comes to like running or doing anything physical that's gonna better my body. But I haven't gotten
Haven't
there.
found it yet. Well,
No, I don't think I ever will.
I pray you will.
Oh, dude, fingers crossed. But yeah, no, the guy who made the film, the documentary, he made a film pertaining to kratom or kratom or whatever.
I've had it a few times and I didn't
Yeah.
find a big effect, but that's
Right.
awesome. It helps you with
Oh,
pain,
dude, and what they tried doing was what they did with mushrooms, with marijuana, all that. They tried turning it into a Schedule 1 drug. I think Schedule 1 drug. Where
Those drugs are bad, McCoy.
yeah, for real, dude. They and it's because they know that I think the word I'm looking for is preparatory or not. Basically, how they can make money off of it, how the government can make money off of it, and you can't keep people from making it themselves if they can just grow it. Like I can grow marijuana in my backyard. I can grow up to 10 plants, I think it is in Colorado per adult. Like I don't need to go to the dispensary where they might be spraying stuff with pesticides or whatever, which I doubt. A lot of dispensaries are full of like hippy dippy dudes like me that are like, I don't want this in my weed. So my big thing is if I can heal whatever my issue is with plants or something that's grown naturally, I'm 100% on that bus. Like,
Sure.
and which is why I love kratom. Like it's been amazing. But when they tried doing that, turning it into a Schedule 1 drug, there were so many people that were filling out petitions, making it to where it's like we have hundreds of thousands of people that are like, screw you, I need this to live. Like, which is an exaggeration for me. I don't need it to live. Like when I was going through police academy and stuff like that, like I didn't take any of that stuff because I didn't want that to mess with anything work wise or like drug tests or anything like that. But for a lot of people, it's life for them. It's making it to where they can talk normally without just pausing in pain constantly. Like and for a lot of people, it's just constant pain. And when what kratom does is it dulls your pain receptors and makes it to where you're able to not have that high feeling, but you also have that relief of pain because your pain receptors are being dulled, numbed. Man, listening to pharmaceutical companies or lobbyists talk about how evil and bad kratom is, it's like if someone back in the 70s was talking to you now with all the information you know about marijuana and CBD and stuff like that, and started telling you how evil marijuana is and how if we don't stop it now, Mexicans are going to sleep with your white daughters and like just like the dumbest crap you might be next, like the dumbest, most ignorant stuff you could think of people saying on why you can't smoke a plant or put a plant in, a pill form or something. Like it would be like those guys trying to talk to people now about marijuana. And it drives me nuts because I know 10 years down the road, everyone's going to look at things differently, and I feel like that's usually how everything works. Like it's everybody goes crazy. Take COVID for example. Everything gets crazy all in the moment, and then like a year or two down the road, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know why you think this happened. And it's like, dude, you guys like shut businesses down. Like, just as an example, not to like drone on, but as an example, people will freak out in the moment. And then a year or two down the road, they'll be like, oh, yeah, I mean, of course, if you already got COVID, you have the stronger immune system, or you have the antibodies. Jeez, I was having a brain fart. But a lot of people will freak out in the moment. And then when it comes to it, dude, it looks like the snake's trying to talk. Dude, which, by the way, we didn't introduce a snake.
This is Katniss, everyone. She's about 4 or 5 years old, and she's just really drawn to this red ball. Hopefully she doesn't try to eat it.
Oh, dude, she's beautiful. I got an extra one, so we're good. Nah, that man. When you showed up with that, I was like, okay, all right, I can dig it.
Yeah.
If my kids were here, we wouldn't be able to get them out of the room. Like,
well,
that would be like pulling teeth.
happy to show them anytime. Freaking. Yeah, you're bringing up a lot around.
I know. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to throw it all.
You're good. No, it's just bringing up in both cases, whether it's COVID or whether it's people's new assumptions around various substances and plant medicines and fungi medicines, and just the inherent response of that which I don't understand and know I must fear or assume the worst. And the way that that's trying to keep us safe, right, from uncertainty and all the uncertainty factors that could cause harm, but how it also holds us back from what could allow for benefits and positive change, and just people's relationship with the unknown or surrendering control often comes up when talking about psychedelics, and especially for folks with a lot of trauma, who. It's interesting because you'll have some who are like all about I want to do whatever I can to heal it. And then others who are like, whoa, I've been doing a lot to keep this brain, body, human controlled and compartmentalized. And now you're going to offer me something that's going to stir all that shit up.
I've put all these walls
That's
up.
terrifying,
What do you mean you want to break them down?
Yeah.
Dude, if I'm eating an edible or whatever, and I take too much or something, and then I start thinking about DMT or whatever, that freaks me out to no end. If I'm way too high and then I start thinking about what's DMT gonna be like, and then I just start getting in my head, I will freak myself out. I've said it before where never watch a zombie movie if you're high. I feel everything that I'm seeing. It makes me super sensitive, so I'm like no, it freaks me out to no end. So if I think about anything pertaining to psychedelics or anything like that, when I am in a super sensitive state, it completely turns me off to it. But when I'm completely sober and there's no I didn't I just feel fresh, and I think about trying DMT, trying mushrooms or anything like that, which I've tried mushrooms, but or psilocybin mushrooms, but then I have no problem. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I could do this. But it's when you're in that sensitive state, and then you think of how much more sensitive it'll be then, and you hear people all right, you take that first hit of DMT, you're gonna have to take a even bigger hit after that, however I've heard it explained in videos, it freaks me out just thinking about. Yeah, I don't know how else to feel about it till I do it.
Well, I would ask you, what do you feel? It sounds like you're feeling a lot of anxiety and fear in
Right.
imagining the unknowns there. And so if I was working with you, I might invite you to notice where you feel that in your body, to locate that and to not judge that fear or that uncertainty or whatever it might be, and to just make space and breathe into it, maybe asking it what it needs. And you're also speaking to what is often known, for those who aren't as psychedelic savvy, as set and setting. Set being the mindset we bring into the space, which is coming from our overall demeanor and personality and mood, but also what happened that day in your life, your relationships, how you woke up from the bed. That's your mindset, right? That is interacting with the medicine is also interacting with the setting or the environment, the zombie movie or the
Yeah.
or the couch with nightshades and music. Like whatever you choose to put your variables is gonna give you, it's not gonna control your experience, but it's gonna give more guardrails to your experience of what it could be.
Oh, dude, 100%. That's what I was saying. Like if I'm fresh and feeling good, and it's the next morning, I'm good. Or like after a workout, that feeling, then I start thinking about trying DMT or whatever. Like then it's no issue. But if I'm already in that, like, oh, God. And it's not the thought of opening up. It's have you ever taken too many edibles or something where you're just like, oh,
yeah.
like it's that feeling that you're in that moment, and you're like, oh, I took way too much.
Yeah, overwhelmed. Yeah.
And then thinking about that.
More overwhelming. A vicious cycle
Yeah,
of overwhelm.
yeah. That's my issue. But when I'm completely clear-headed, like it's no issue. I'm good, which is why I want to try that, so that moving forward, whenever I do think about it, it won't be such like a mind fuck, like it won't freak me out as much. But it's more of a you never know till you try it kind of thing.
So we like to talk, I heard it, this isn't my words, I'm borrowing another wise psychedelic leader's words here around viewing a psychedelic trip like a kayaking trip, and how the river is flowing where the river's flowing, and it's going to pull you, the medicine is going to take you on a journey, and you're in the kayak. You can try and steer around that rock and that log and that, swirling whirlpool, but you also can't avoid everything, and things are going to come up, and you're going to hit big rapids. And how do we stop you from getting totally stuck in a side bank where you're totally getting lost in a loop that you're just getting more and more intense and isn't being helpful because you're stuck in the side of the river? How do we get you back into the river? Right? Not that we're trying to avoid things, but we're also, that's, what someone like me is trying to help do, is to help give you tools to redirect if you're not able to kind of process and move through something. We say, like, if there's a lion's head that's trying to come at you and eat you, go into it. If there's stairs coming at you, go up them. Go in the door. Right? Try to go through and be in our experience and see what can come up without getting stuck in things.
Oh, I completely agree. Completely agree. I think that's a really good analogy too. I know, just because I've heard it so many times, and I've tried to like research as much as I can when it comes to psychedelics or anything like that, especially if I'm trying it for the first time. Yeah. And I know it's you need to let go, because if you don't let go, it's gonna be a bad day. Like, and it makes me think of that South Park episode where he's like, if you don't French fry, you're gonna have a bad day. Like, but that's how I think about it, is like, don't fight it, and you'll have it.
Dude, I've had plenty of times when I try to fight it, especially in like more public spaces at festivals. There's things that will come up. And it's
God,
a lot harder when there's a lot more variables, and intersecting with combat trauma and other protective parts.
Yeah, I think for me, it's the thought of a near-death experience, or like a ego death that we were talking about on the hike down. Like that, just thinking about that is what freaks me out the most. But what got you into therapy?
To working?
Yeah, just getting, yeah.
Or receiving.
Yeah, just either. Yeah. What did you do this prior to joining the military? Was this like a midway through the military, or just after?
I think I did a few sessions when I was a child. I barely remember it. When I was maybe 7 or so. And then I didn't do any therapy until, gosh, was I 20? I think it was right after Afghanistan. Yeah, around 21, 22, going through some relationship struggles with a girlfriend, and that motivated me to pursue it. And I was studying anthropology at UNLV while I was in the Army National Guard. And so I'd always had a passion for studying evolution human behavior and human culture, and was doing that while being a military police officer. So I was quite the unique cookie.
That sounds like it.
And I also had I took any class I could around human sexuality in that undergrad, and that actually has motivated me to want to become a sex therapist first, because of just trying to figure out sexuality myself and heal things within my family and struggles growing up. And so I got out of the Army in 2014, finished my bachelor's in 2014, and then didn't know what the fuck I wanted to do, because before I was thinking about going officer and staying in the Army for 20 years, but Afghanistan changed my mind, and as it does. And so I took my deployment money and traveled through Europe and Southeast Asia.
Oh man!
And did
what parts did you hit? That's amazing.
Oh, it was great. I was with two buddies in Europe for 2 months. We did like 10 countries, did the U-Rail system, and took the trains everywhere. And
what was the most interesting country that you got to visit?
Oh, in which continent? Because I did, yeah.
What's the most interesting continent that you've been to?
I've definitely got an affinity for Asia, and I've done like 5 countries in Southeast Asia, and Thailand I've been to twice, and it's definitely a favorite. But Indonesia was incredible as well, with their, each island from having different religions and different cultures across each island, and such good food and such amazing animal life, and just Indonesia.
I can only imagine.
Oh, it's
I've
incredible.
seen pictures of my buddies that have gone there.
Yeah.
He started doing security contracting out for like not Blackwater, but like one of those big security
Sure.
contractors that work with the military. He was doing that, and whenever he wasn't working, you'd see pictures of him in like India or Indonesia or wherever, like just the most beautiful places you could ever be, and he's just out there like living his life.
Nice.
100%.
Nice.
So
Nice.
I can only imagine how much fun that was.
Oh, yeah. And while doing that, we did the hostel life. Are you familiar with hostels?
Yeah,
youth hostels.
As far as staying in a place with a bunch of other people.
A lot of young travelers at, lower cost. You're sleeping in like basic training, bunk beds everywhere, but there's no drill sergeants around, so it's fucking fun. And
everybody's smoking weed.
Everyone's just
chilling,
going on walking beer tours and history tours, and everyone's sharing ideas of where they've been, where to go, and and in that, I'm hanging with people from all around the world, and just bringing my freshly graduated anthropology brain, and just learning about people's lifestyles and culture, and I was like, how can I do this for a living? How can I just like this is so stimulating and fun and meaningful. And I knew I had the nerdy intellectual side of studying human behavior, but I didn't know if I was going to have the ability to be in the room and be really like able to hold that space.
Right.
Especially after just being a military police officer, and I was coming from a whole different world.
And making people feel that safety in that room.
Totally.
And you're there to help them. You're not just sitting in the corner or something, like you're the guy that...
And I was still, frankly, really living in my head. The military does a good job of cutting us off in our consciousness from feeling our body and being in our head. And so I had to do a lot of my own big, long journey of both spirituality, emotional availability, and learning about how the hell does this brain-body system work, and while trying to learn and support others. It was a crazy journey.
Yeah. No, I definitely wish I had more. It's weird when you think of how you used to think 10, 15 years ago compared to how you think now. And it's like, God, man, I was an idiot. Or, just anything in that kind of context where you're just like,
we're at,
yeah, and exactly. Exactly. That's a really good way of putting it, because when I was in the military, I obviously thought everything that was happening around me involved me. I joined really young. I joined at 17.
Me
like
too.
I was a dummy.
Yeah.
And I thought it was such a beautiful, smart idea to join at that age. And I was married at that exact time. So
Wow.
I got married when I was 16, joined at 17, because
Oh, wow.
it was around 2008 when the
financial crisis.
Yeah, financial crisis. Everything went to hell and in a handbasket. And the catering company I was working with my wife just went to shit. And I was like, well, what am I gonna do? I got to support my wife. I'm like, well, I could just join the army. My name is Joe. You know, like that right there. Reason number one. So that I joined, and from that point on, it was like, in my mind, everything revolved around me. Like all my issues that I was going through, I was the first person to ever go through these issues, and I wish I had listened to more people when I was younger, which
I hear you.
Everybody says now, but like my kids, knock on wood, are very good at taking my advice, especially when, you know, I give them advice prior to them screwing up, and then they realize, oh shit, you were right. And then the next time they're like, all right, I'm going to listen a little bit more. I'm still going to do what I want to do, but I might take a little bit of his, you know, advice. Yeah. And slowly but surely it's gotten to the point where, like, I'll tell just my oldest, for example, I'll tell him something and be like, hey man, I'm just trying to give you all the information so that you can pick from that what you want to listen to. And it's all you. And I mean, he got into a fight recently, did exactly what I told him to do. Don't try and fight anybody. If someone's trying to fight you, walk away, ignore them, whatever you got to do. You know, the kid puts his hands on him and he walks away. Kid puts his hands on him again, pushes him and swings at him. And my son just grabs him by the shirt, starts decking him in the face, and then walks away. And then it happened again with the friend of that kid, and it was just back to back. But what was hilarious, not that this situation is funny, but I got to see the video of it. He did exactly what I said.
Oh yeah.
And
that's nice. There was video for that.
Oh, dude, yeah. And
confirmed.
I mean, as a
alleviate
dad,
the uncertainty there.
Yeah, as a dad, you're like, all right, my kid can fight. Like, all right, I'm doing good. Like, but he gave that kid like so many chances to just walk away, but he didn't.
Was it all on video?
Oh yeah,
even the start?
All of it.
Oh,
even
wow.
him trying to walk away.
How perfect for the school or whoever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But guess what? Because he wasn't put in a corner specifically, and he wasn't just getting ravaged by punches, it's not considered self-defense.
Is that written in the rules that you have to be? There has to be
in
a corner.
Procedures.
There has to be a.
Yeah, that's it, dude.
With a lion and a tiger and a bear.
Trust me, if you were there, you would have been like, "Excuse me, what?" Like, yeah, it was nuts. But the point I was getting at was, I tell my kids all the time, like, if something ever happens and you feel like you might get arrested or you feel like you're in trouble, don't talk to anybody. Talk to me or talk to a lawyer. Don't talk to anyone else. Nice. So the first time it happened, I get a call from the vice principal, and she's like, hey, so there was an incident. There was a fight. Joey won't tell us anything. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, he said he can't talk to anyone until he talks to you. And I'm like, like, I was so proud because I'm like, all right, he listened. Like, but it's just, that took so much time to get him to that point of like, hey man, when I'm giving you advice, I want nothing but the best for you. And if I had something like that back then, I feel like I wouldn't have made as many mistakes as I did, or I would have listened more, you know. But I got to step in a bunch of shit sandwiches over my time in the military, and things I thought were super fun, and you know, oh man, what's the downside of this? Like, it ended up rolling into an even bigger shit sandwich over time. So like, if I had a therapist or somebody to talk to, and if I was in the right mind to actually listen, I think a sex therapist, I think just a therapist in general would have made my life easier. I was ridiculously over-sexualized just as a kid in general, and growing up like that, not having many experiences when I was younger, and now I'm in the army where like,
I want to give you an opportunity to clarify what you mean by over-sexualized. people were over sexualizing you, or you were had a strong
it was a mixture
drive
of there were some incidents. There was an incident when I was younger, and then as I got older, there were incidences. And dude, you put me in a house with, this is when internet had really started kicking off. I was left in a house for like a good hour and a half before my mom would get home with the internet.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm amazed it didn't fall off.
How close are we? Are we the same age? Are you I was born in 90.
90.
90, yeah.
Yeah, 1990. Yeah, so like I'm discovering the what is this internet thing? So it was.
When did it switch from dial-up to high speed? Like I remember dial-up in middle school. And then maybe right around high school starting is when I
started having,
because I'm trying to track like when did start coming on, like was that really?
I had really bad carpal tunnel in 2003. No, I'm kidding. So, I think it was around then. No. but like that's just me as a kid, and then now I'm in the military, in active duty Army, which is full of perverts. Like everybody is boning everybody's wife, everybody's girlfriend or wife is at the barracks. Like it's just debauchery left and right. And me thinking, oh man, this sounds fun, this is a good idea, why not? Like and it just kind of just kept rolling into shit and more shit. And obviously if I had listened to people around me that were like, hey, you're an idiot, stop, what are you doing? Like I feel like my life could have gone in a different path. I'm glad it didn't. I'm glad as
a therapist, I think that would only make it worse.
What? If what?
Just give you more negative self-talk to take in. That the more shame and guilt and internal critic we have, the more that we do behaviors to try to cope with that, which leads to more impulsive risk-taking and thus more likely to not have healthy sexuality practices because we're trying to cope and cover up the void. And
I agree to an
extent. I hear you saying someone to give you some guardrails.
Yeah. I think that's more what I mean is guardrails, because for me, I had no guardrails, and I have a wife. My wife at the time was in the same boat of why not, or I don't know. But then I'm sitting here like, I mean, why not? Like I'm in the background going, yeah, babe, please, like this sounds really fun. Like
probably was.
Dude, it was. Don't get me wrong, it was fun. But that's what I mean. Like those those actions had consequences, and I don't think I fully understood those consequences.
Dude, I grew up in Las Vegas.
Then you completely understand what I'm talking. There's probably
from all over the world come here to do debauchery. Yeah. That was my backyard.
Right. What's it called? The Bunny Ranch or what is it?
Yeah, out in Pahrump, the Bunny Ranch. Yeah.
It's a good thing I was never stationed anywhere near there or lived near there, because I think around that time I would have probably had no problem going bankrupt. And like I think it's a mixture of my wife at the time wasn't in the right state of mind for those kinds of things, and I think it affected her more than it affected me, in the way of like, to me as a man, and this is just my opinion, me as a man, I'm sitting here thinking I can go do this, and this with this person, and I don't even know this chick's name. I don't know anything about this person. I can do God knows what, and then afterwards never think about that person again, and then go back to a wife or whatever and be like, babe, I love you so much. Like there's no question in my mind that I love you. But I feel like for other people, it's a lot harder to do that and to have that like differentiation, if that's a word. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard for them to have
those
that
two parts of themselves,
exactly.
Those two kind of conflicting, really different.
It's like, oh, there's a difference between making love and having sex, in my mind, and I feel like it's in a lot of guys' minds. But for women, it's more of like an emotional attachment, and if they don't feel like they're getting the attention or the emotional validation and stuff like that, that it's if they get that or think they can get that with somebody else, they like jump on it. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'd like to get your...
I hear that is the general trope or the general kind of consensus in our culture. And I hear that that's maybe been your experience. Well, there's a great book called Untrue by Wednesday Martin that talks about all the myths around female sexuality and the ways that these beliefs that we assume of these differences between men and women is more through societal conditioning. Yes, there's biological differences, and when we grow up with strong sex negative beliefs that say when the daughter growing up is hearing, don't have sex until you're married.
Yeah.
Whereas the boy is hearing, yeah, go do masturbate or have sex with whoever you want. Like these totally different marriages are what skew these statistics and skew these beliefs around male-female differences. There are plenty of females who enjoy very promiscuous one-night stands, as much as deep intimacy and yeah, so like I struggle to join in the male female divide around that. But I'm equally curious, like you bringing up just what that's like in terms of psychology of making that switch between those two different drives around sex and what sex is doing for the individual in those two different contexts with those different people is a fascinating thing to consider. And yeah, what do you think about that?
I mean, I do agree. I feel like it's more of a individual kind of personality trait, or not trait, but like it's not a male female thing, because I've met women that are just the exact same mindset,
right?
You know, and that's why it's a little bit easier for me to hear somebody say, you know, girl brain or guy brain or whatever, and like a girl that thinks like a guy or a guy that thinks like a girl and has those kind of like personality traits or whatever. Go ahead.
It's easier.
Yeah. In what way? What do you mean?
I heard you just say it's easier to think that way.
Right.
Less nuanced, less complicated, less.
No, and for me, in my opinion, I think that a lot of people have the same. Women have, in my opinion, women have. I got
all your opinion.
You know what I mean? I got a caveat.
It's all your opinion.
No,
it's all my opinion over here.
Right.
Unless she comes up.
Yeah. Right. I think that women and men think more alike when they're younger, and as they both grow, they fall more into those categories of more. It's less and less nuanced as they get older. It's more, well, in this specific kind of alleyway, like as women get, here we go, like a Andrew Tate kind of quote thing where it's like, as women get older, they completely focus on work and stuff like that. They don't think about children. They don't think about like being a grandmother down the road. Like a lot of the women that, and I'm just saying this from like what their perspective sounds like of work. I'm going to make as much money as humanly possible, no matter what the pitfalls are. And at the end of the day, I'll be a high value woman, but in actuality, the guys that they're looking for that are high value men aren't the right kind of guys. Like, they're not going to treat them the way they want to be treated. They're not going to give them those things that they think are important when they're younger. But as they get older, it kind of like starts clicking when you're looking around and you got all the nice things that you wanted when you were younger, except for what you would actually value as you get older, like children or someone to spend the rest of your life with. And I feel like those things change as you get older. Obviously, as you get older, things change. But I think specifically for men and women, it kind of like, it goes from they're more alike than they think when they're younger. Sex, money, work, you know, hardcore driven. And then as they get older, it goes into more, I think I want to be a homesteader. I think I want, you know, like, how do you make sourdough? Like, and just stuff like that. I know I kind of droned on.
Let me
Sorry.
join. No, let me. I'm curious to join you in this thinking. So, if I join you in your perspective on gender and how that relates to sexuality, are you tying this into your earlier description of your experience of like these inner different parts of you that can show up and have really promiscuous, like unemotional sex and more emotional, intimate, connected love and sex? Like, how does that relate to the gender differences?
I think I started broadening it out, and in my own mind, I'm horrible at that. I'll have a whole conversation with myself.
I'm just wondering if there's a deeper,
right.
if there's another meaning or another like line of exploration around what that means about you as a male.
Right. I think for me, it's just easier in my mind like you were saying, it's easier to think that way. It is, because everything makes a little bit more sense, and I feel like people now are trying to like deconstruct things.
Everything.
They're trying to deconstruct everything. Like, I think I'm trying to think of a really good example of what I'm talking about, but like people try and deconstruct the dumbest stuff, and it's like, no, it's probably just a basic answer that anybody from the 1950s could have given you. Like, you're not any smarter than people were back then. You just have more information than people had back then readily available to you. And even then, like, we don't know what's true and what's not until we try it ourselves, or we see it ourselves, or people conduct experiments to see if it's correct. But it just
I wonder, and tell me if I'm getting too therapist-y for you.
No, dude, get therapist. Get therapist-y.
But this is just how I always am. I just had the honor of holding space for a group of men, 6 men, called my Evolving Lovers Men's Sexuality Group, and it was something I was really excited to complete after like a few years of contemplating it and thinking about how that might go. And it was just incredible to have men come together, and we'd watch different TED Talks, and then we'd have articles, and we'd do discussions, and we'd do some just group support process, whatever is relevant. And to watch the walls of isolation come down, and to watch men really connect with like their heads and their hearts and all of their being around these conversations, not just get lost into the joking or competitive mindset that can normally show up, that prevents true intimacy between men around in these spaces. It was
trying to be tough
or show
moment.
mojo, or like whatever their goal is, to block authenticity around what
That's
their
good,
whole sexual experience really looks like and is, the beauty and the shadow.
What did it involve? The not program, but the group.
Yeah, so
you were doing.
I had I kind of had a rough draft of different themes or different videos that had different theme. We had one where we were talking about porn and what is a porn problem, and what is the difference between what women think or what they're struggling to communicate around what they need with porn versus what men struggle with. And we had one talking about sexual health across the lifespan and what is healthy sex positive thinking. And we got into non-monogamy and kink, and we got into anywhere that we'd go. But I tried to meet with I met with each male prior to us meeting as a group one-on-one to kind of learn a little bit more of their background and what they're hoping to get out of it. So then that way I could kind of tailor the discussion or what I was offering to the group themes.
And you were there you weren't running the setup. You were
well,
like
running,
heading it, not
it's
as
very,
a spectator.
I was creating guardrails, or I was creating offerings, and I was helping to deepen in like, this guy's just talking about this dynamic of divorce or struggling in his marriage. Like, does anyone else to relate to that? I try to weave the conversation to help them find shared struggles or shared wisdom. Or
no, dude, that sounds. I like the sound of that. Actually, I think there definitely needs to be more conversations like that. specifically pertaining to what you were saying with porn or things like that, what are your thoughts on not criminalizing porn, obviously, but like limiting access to it? What are your thoughts on that?
What are my thoughts on limiting access?
Like
give
Utah,
me more
I think
of what you mean.
Utah has a new thing where you have to like sign up with your ID. I know on the East Coast, I think it was up in Virginia or something, where when you go to Cornhub, or I don't know if you can say any of that stuff on here, but if you go on there, you have to like take a picture of your driver's license, put your info in there, like the whole 9 yards.
I didn't know
just to be able to look at stuff.
Yeah, I remember being in other countries like Indonesia and in the main island and not being able to access porn websites because of different rules and different laws. And
I don't know if we can say that on YouTube or anything.
Oh shit! So they're gonna cancel delete me because I'm talking about sex as a sex therapist. Oh shit!
I know. I have no idea what any of the rules are yet. Yeah. I'm literally just waiting for them to like delete my ATF or something pops through the window. Well, like I'm scared they're going to I'm just waiting for them to delete a video or something or restrict it or whatever. But I put on there like not for kids, but just so you know, it might get bleeped or something. But
whatever.
Yeah.
Fucking.
Do you think
I think it's just as connected to. There may be differences, but it seems in a similar camp to me as our thoughts on our relationship with psychedelics. There's light and shadow, and it's about our relationship with them and our intention and our mindfulness around impact, and how this tool, this medicine, this video, this, whether it's erotica that we're reading or whether we're watching it, like how is that showing up in our life and how is it impacting our relationship with ourselves and others? You know, many couples who watch porn together tend to be able to have a lot more realistic conversations around what they enjoy receiving from one another and what they want to try together. It gives them a lot more context to explore. So often it can be a tool that I talk about with couples, like maybe you should consider watching more together. As much as
I agree.
As much as for other people, like, okay, you can't, make it at all throughout your day without being in your office or like so persistently to where it's causing you to mess up at work or to do impulsive things that cause other people harm. Like, okay, well, maybe we should explore your relationship with this and what you're trying to cope with, what feelings you don't know how to work with that you're using porn as the only way to do that for, and how do we move towards what more healthy relationship would look like. Maybe that means abstinence. Maybe that means moderation and other changes too.
That would be more categorized for me more than anything. When I came back from Afghanistan, like, Jesus, dude, it was either eat, work out, or be in a porta potty, just going to town. Like it was. And when I came back, I mean, because that's literally all there really is to do when you're overseas, unless you're out on a mission.
Where else are you gonna get privacy to masturbate? You ain't gonna get in your bunk with your bunkmates all around, dude.
Unless you're like really quiet, like you're
real slow stroker. I remember doing that in Afghanistan.
Like you're hiding in the attic or something, just Anne Frank style. But I can't remember who I was talking to, but I made my buddy laugh so damn hard because it was in regards to masturbation. And I was like, yeah, dude, I go at it pilgrim style. And he's like, pilgrim style? What? I was like, yeah, nothing, just my hand. Like, he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? He had never heard that before. But when I was deployed, like, it was just like I had nothing to do and I was horny out of my mind.
Yeah.
And then I come back and I've got my wife, but like I'm still going in the bathroom because my not sex drive, but like my masturbation drive, whatever that would be called. Like it was just, dude, every day, at least twice. Like it was bad. Like, but that would be something that I would 100, and it got to a point where I was like, you know what, I'm not going to do anything for like a month. And 2 days later, just looking like what's his face from South Park, the dad, when he finally found internet. I can't remember what that episode is, but like they cut off the internet, and it was like an apocalyptic kind of setting, and they're like, oh, hey, just so you know, we just got a computer with internet set up in that Connex over there. And he's like, internet? Like, because he was just fiending for it. And then he's like, I just need like 5 minutes. And then 10 minutes go by, and they're like, are you okay, Mr. Marsh? Are you okay? And they open the door, and he's just like covered. but like, I know I'm not the only one that's ever felt like that, but it feels like that to me because it's my struggle.
Dude, I came back and I was really overwhelmed by my sex drive, and especially like, dude, I came back from Afghanistan. I deployed in the middle of my bachelor's degree, and I came back to UNLV. UNLV's in the desert in Las Vegas. Every single girl has short shorts on everywhere around campus.
Feather tails.
And I was just like, just got back from the other desert, and after being starved for a year of all substances and sexual opportunities, and and then I had the Vegas nightclub experience right there, right across from my university. So yeah, man, I definitely appreciate your bravery to go into these arenas with me, because these are topics that I've definitely struggled with, and I really love, helping to expand the conversation around. And there's not a lot of focus in the VA, or in terms of what are the impacts of war on intimacy and sexuality, and and a lot of people. Most therapists don't have any sexuality training, even in our country. It's not like a requirement.
Or they're that old guy that looks like the dude from the diabetes commercial that you're talking to, and you're just like, well, I don't want to talk to this guy.
Right. And so then they're bringing with them all of their bullshit indoctrination around what sexuality should be, and their shadow that they've never looked at or done work around, and they're then helping consult you on yours. Like, yeah, it's a perfect recipe for a lot of harm to be done, even with therapists. And so that's why, another reason that I was really motivated to get a lot of exposure and training in that.
How long have you been actually practicing or doing this for people, to help people with your own company?
Yeah, so I finished grad school in 2017 at CSU, but then worked for a few years at the university with students after, and then COVID hit and motivated me to, when working from my basement on telehealth, I was like, I'm ready for something new. And so I jumped into private practice and pursued my sex therapy training at that time. Yeah.
Do you do any of this stuff with the VA? Do you work with them at all, as far as like contracting or working with veterans specifically?
I applied 7-8 months, maybe longer ago, to become a community care provider. I haven't heard shit back.
Yeah.
And I've talked with people at the VA, and they're like, I don't know why. I'm trying to ask people who the hell to make. Apparently, they're trying to reduce their use of community care providers because of cost, and I don't know.
Well, people that are in that sphere that I've dealt with personally have been complete shit. Complete. And I've had good instances where I'm like, all right, this guy's on his stuff, or this lady's really good. She's good to talk to. I feel comfortable talking to this person. While I was doing my PTSD claim, I was talking to a therapist for like a year and a half prior to putting in a claim because the first time I did my claim, like, it was just a horrible experience with the guy I was talking with, and he was a community care person down in Denver, and super nice guy, but he starts the conversation off with, he's ex special forces, hardcore dude, and then I start talking about my deployment. I wasn't, tactical Timmy, out there jumping out of a on top of Hesco's with like a 249 or something. Like I didn't do anything crazy or badass while I was over there at all. And while I'm trying to explain things that I've seen or things that I've been through, it just all just kept getting brought back to things that happened when I was younger, prior to joining, and just stuff like that. And it just felt like everything was being obfuscated, and like he was just trying to bring everything back to, oh, well, that's because of this that happened prior to you joining. It's not the military's issue now because this was before. And that was a horrible experience. But the second time I went to do my claim, and prior to doing my claim, I was specifically talking to VA providers, people that just work for the VA, and you don't have that feeling of like a...
Was this the guy doing your rating?
Yeah,
Okay.
for my CMP exam, for the comp and pen.
Yeah.
So obviously it's a different atmosphere, but that's the experience I've had with the contractor side of things, as far as working with the VA, and the best experiences I've had mostly have been with VA providers. I've had really good experiences with psychiatrists and therapists that were also community care people. And the lady I spoke to for like a year and some change pertaining to trauma and stuff like that, she was amazing.
Good.
And I can't remember the program we did, but you basically talk about things that in your mind, like, obviously terrorists aren't going to pop out the windows and out of the closet, and I don't have to be armed 24/7. I don't have to always have a vest in the back of my truck and an EMT, but I have all of these things because I'm a psycho. But like, she was walking me through, what are the odds of this actually happening? Do you really think it's going to happen? Why do you think it's going to happen? And like all those little steps in between, and it was amazing. I can't think of the other. Next time I'm going to actually have that book on me, because we went through like an entire like
workbook.
Yeah, workbook, and the whole time we were just going through, is this really as big of a deal as you think it is? Like, do you really have to check every single room in your house whenever you come home? Like, just stuff like that, and it helped.
Okay, helping. I hear in that just the ways that we can get really rigid beliefs, or that are maladaptive beliefs, we might call them, that are really controlling our behavior, and helping to pick them apart and add more nuance and add more complexity, and breaking them down and finding new, more adaptive beliefs.
And I have those same issues with the other stuff you were talking about, like where I'm stuck in that, not really stuck, but still very rigid in my beliefs in a lot of stuff. Like we started talking about some of that
survival.
stuff.
That's survival.
Yeah.
I would love one day if I can work with the VA. They have a lot of power to create amazing things when they want to. And I would love to be, I'm a bit entitled here on what I'm about to say, but I'd love them to see what I'm bringing to the table as a sex and psychedelic therapist, and what I want to do with relationships, and to let me have my own department. Like, I don't think that's going to get land in my lap.
Veterans at all, I doubt it's going to happen. Like, that's so sad to say myself.
Well, they're a huge bureaucracy, and they move slow, and they've got a lot of red tape, and they've got a lot of rigidity in their system. And so that's a lot of the reasons why I won't work for them, because I don't want to constrict what I know is best in how I show up and do my work to fit into their mold. So I worked with Huts for Vets, which is nature therapy, wilderness therapy in Aspen, Colorado. For anyone, men's, women's, co-eds trips, they're amazing. And you hike and you talk about these really awesome readings, and then we all make food together and do some nature bathing, where you go out by yourself and have your alone time. And but yeah, and then I'm very much in the psychedelic and veteran conversational space at Naropa University. I help teach the students that are in the psychedelic program about the kind of perspective on doing this work with veterans. So it's been a fun way to kind of create, while I have my private practice, I get involved into other things as they arise that are connected to my journey as a veteran. And
I'm going to have a buddy of mine pop on the podcast as well, that I don't know if you've met them yet. They were at at that Pints for a Purpose.
Yeah.
Or Pints with a Purpose, the Veterans Life magazine.
Yeah.
Couple, Mindy and James.
I know them.
Dude, have you gotten to really chit chat with them?
Yeah, and they've come to see me speak, and they've come to different events, and we've chatted a handful of times. We were just doing this awesome concert. This guy at CSU, a music professor, an opera singer, approached me. He was doing this musical performance called Soldier Songs, where it's these songs that from vet writings that have been turned into this orchestra performance, and
like cadences or just like poems.
Veteran writings. It's not like the running cadences,
right.
but
I was like, I mean, that sounds like it'd be really cool.
Yeah, it was a deep experience, and so he asked me to talk at the end, and they were there for that, and I was talking about moral injury, and because he definitely kind of talks about that, and just the dynamics of how we're conditioned, socialized in our country, and how that relates to what we think war is, and what we think being a soldier is, a G.I. Joe, and the glorification and the hero narrative, and then what actually kind of unfolds for people. And so he was singing about that, and it was really, I don't go to operas. It's not really my thing, but it was really moving.
I haven't gotten to go to one yet, but I've definitely been contemplating this winter.
So you're going to invite?
Oh yeah, what I was going to say was you should. Now that I already know you're talking to them, I was going to say they write these articles about anything and everything vet related. I think I would want to write about what you got going on. They're amazing. I've been volunteering with them, trying to get subscriptions and get people to take ad space out. I've been chit-chatting with the VFW guys. I went to one of their meetings, and it was a group of a handful of the presidents for the different, like Greeley, Fort Collins, Loveland, Evans, different places in Colorado.
Okay.
And I was trying to talk to them about, hey, I know the VFW exists, but I don't know anything about the VFW. And when I think of the VFW, I think of I think of the guy from the diabetes commercial, but with a veteran hat on. Like, that's what I think of when I think of the VFW. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of vets feel that way.
Yeah, they've definitely had decreasing enrollment for OIF, OEF compared to the prior wars. I was at their funding gala this last Christmas, because I was in this Bunker Labs. Have you heard of it's a veteran entrepreneurial program. No. We were using the VFW in Denver as our meeting space. And so then they invited us to their winter celebration. And it really opened my eyes to the richness of what they've been doing, and so many more things that I didn't know in terms of supports and resources that they offer. I was going to say I haven't yet gone out of my way to connect with the folks in Northern Colorado, but I'd love to meet more of them.
I'm trying to get the VFW guys together, and guys and girls. It's a bunch of people, but they're not like the only way I even knew that they were having a meeting or anything like that was because I met one of the presidents at Harley Davidson at Thunder Mountain, Jesse. He's amazing, super nice guy, big burly dude with a big beard. Every dude at Harley. So, but I spoke with him, and he's like, you should definitely come down here and let them know what you guys got going on. And I haven't heard anything back from a lot of the people. I heard back from one of the ladies that gave me her info, but nobody else has hit me up or anything.
You're trying to get them together to do what?
Just to get Marshall, to get guys, just guys that really want to get that information out there, come on here or go on somebody else's podcast or something where there's a video where you're talking about the stuff you do. Because when I'm sitting there and I'm listening to these guys talking about, okay, and then we're going to put this this get together, this picnic, this, you know, we're going to do a big fundraiser. Like, that is things that I would like to know about.
Yeah, no, it's definitely really hard. There's so many organizations for vets, but yeah, getting everyone to talk to everyone and getting that disseminated amongst the population. Like, I did this film screening called Love After War, and I did my best to send out emails to everyone, and people came. It was definitely not a full, it was, you know, space, and it was hard because, like, you do your best to get it out, but, like, you know, when you're not getting paid to be a marketing team and go out and spend months developing your plan, like, yeah, it's hard for people to get the time and to get it in their face enough to, you know, motivate that commitment. And
I'm more in that space now because I'm able to be in that space. As far as I have a lot more free time, I'm doing security contracting, so it's on my schedule. If I have something coming up that is a big veteran get together or foundation or whatever, I have the ability to go do that now. So
you're doing defense contracting right now, you said?
Security contracting. So private investigating to executive protection to a literal security guard.
Yeah.
Like, the contracts really vary, but it makes it to where I have that ability and freedom when it comes to
because you choose how much you want to work. Yeah.
Oh, we have a gig coming up next week. All right, well, I can do Tuesday and Friday from this time to this time. Okay, I'll put you in the schedule. So it's more like that. And I just got all my VA rating stuff done. I got my 100% last year.
Wow.
And permanent and total. It has made my life a million times easier, and it makes it to where I can actually focus on spending time with my kids. And creative pursuits. Like, it I don't want to, like you were saying with your stuff, I want the VA to know how good I am. Like, I don't want to sound that way either. But at the same time, it's like, dude, I got nothing but time on my hands. Let's go. Like, what can I do to help get people together? I want to put together a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament specifically for vets where we can...
Do you play paintball?
No, but I'll shoot some people with paintball guns.
Have you ever seen Blitz out here?
No. I went to the airsoft place down in, I think it's Longmont or Johnstown or something. Okay. But my kid is the one that turned me on to that place.
Got airsoft. I just got myself a new paintball gun, and I would love doing it as a teenager. And they've got a huge field.
Dude, in anything.
If you want to go, but yeah.
It doesn't have to be like this. I just really like jiu-jitsu, so like,
I
want to do that. And,
get the rolling on.
If we can do anything to get other people that are in those places of...
Have you heard of Health for Heroes? Or
no. No.
Yeah. Nick Dunnigan, Army vet. It's up in Fort Collins, but he partners with a lot of... And he does a lot of... Yeah, you should check them out, because they do like ruck runs, and they do like marathons.
That's the other thing. Like, I can't, like, that hike we did up the mountain. Like, I liked the hike. It was beautiful.
But if you join their community, they got tons of community sponsors that give extra discounts to veterans that are in that community, and and it's all very health and wellness focused. Yeah.
And I know Bob. You know Bob, right?
Houston. Wait, Bob who?
That was on the hike with us. I know, dude. I suck with names. I know. I know like 3 other Bobs.
What's his work, or what's his?
He is working with Marshall.
Oh yeah. Okay, my bad.
Super nice guy. Well, dude, I suck with names. Like, it took a while for me to remember anybody's name.
Dude, it's hard.
And I have
it's not on your fucking Velcro.
You know what I mean? We're back. All right. Basically, what I was getting at was making sure that we can get people together that are in those places of not power, but like management, or the people that are running
know what's going on with everyone.
Yes. Yeah. Just getting those people together so that we can keep the conversation going about helping vets, about getting them into therapy or getting them wherever so that it can help them.
I know the Veterans Plaza has a big email list, and they do their best. Are you familiar with the Veterans Plaza in Fort Collins, where they have the big every Memorial Day and Veterans, they have big events. Ross Atkinson, have you met my friend Ross Atkinson? He runs the Veterans Writing Workshop at CSU. No. So he's on their board as well, and he's a fellow Afghanistan vet. We've known each other since fucking middle school, and then we both were in Afghanistan at the same time. We both went to UNLV, and now he's finishing his PhD at CSU. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
We're brothers from other mothers for sure, but we've had some fun.
That's the one thing I miss from the military is just having people that you've been through crap with, or had the same kind of experience, and they're still in your life kind of thing, but it's like once you leave.
What are some of the Loveland, are there any kind of organizations or groups down here that you're aware of that you're a part of?
But I want to be. It just sucks because I feel like each individual thing is its own thing. Like you have to, I want to know about this fundraiser that's going on. Oh, well, I have to look up this specific foundation that's putting this together, and you have to click on this specific link to bring you to the information. And I know there's a lot of programs and groups that are making it a lot easier, but I wish there was a specific place you could go to look up.
Just put your veterans resources chip in your head in the morning and see what you want to do that day.
Yeah. and you want to ask the VA, but like the VA,
they don't know.
They don't know
what's going on out in the community. Yeah.
So I mean, and I mean, I know everybody is like, well, nobody's going to do it till you do it. And I'm also really lazy. So I'm fighting myself and like, nobody's doing this.
Gosh, why is everyone not doing what I need them to do? Because of my laziness.
I know. Well, I guess I'll have to do it. And then like,
but I've got all this time because I'm a defense contractor.
Well, and this is a lot easier because I can just sit here and talk to people about it. But I'm genuinely considering putting something together.
I see the TV having all these different little windows and all the different veteran like, here you go. Here's your command HQ.
There's somebody in the back room.
There's a bunch of those like YouTube channels where there's guys that are giving advice on like PTSD ratings and like VA stuff. And
I just started doing something like that. Like I haven't put the video out yet, but it was like benefits for veterans.
Yeah.
That you can use.
So yeah, I mean, what you're already doing and or maybe including that into your podcast is like a starting thing of like, hey, if you're in Northern Colorado, here's what's going on.
Oh, dude, I just need to meet more people that are in those atmospheres like yourself.
Well, that magazine release party, were you there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or no, not at the magazine release
party at the brewery. That was a good collection of a lot of different.
I'm going to another get together, or it's a class, not a get together. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Greeley Ames Community College, and it's with Patton
Veteran Project.
Yes, I think so. Yeah,
you're doing the film thing.
Yeah.
So my buddy Ross and I, we're going to do it in Wyoming in August.
I'm doing it in May.
Nice.
Next month. So, and I told him.
Were you at the film screening at CSU with Marshall's film?
Nope.
Have you seen Marshall?
I've seen it.
Okay, you've seen it.
And I told Marshall I have the best idea for a skit. And he's like, let me get you in touch with this guy. Because it's Blue Falcon Insurance. And it's going to open with like, off the bat.
I haven't heard that term in a long time, but yeah, there it is.
There's a soldier going into to see his platoon sergeant, and he's like, hey, sergeant, just got done with my dental appointment. I'm good to go, though. Formation's in like 30 minutes to end the day. I'll be out there. He's like, how about you hold on high speed? Come over here, private douchebag, or whatever. I'll think of some funny douchebag name. And he like, hunched over, walks in at parade rest, like, what, sergeant? And he's like, where was this soldier? And he's like, he said he was at a dental appointment, but I saw him at the liquor store. And then like it cuts to, like, it pauses the screen, and then I walk out and I'm like, has this ever happened to you? And like, get Blue Falcon insurance. Like, and for an extra $10 a month, we'll include Jody insurance. And like, it's just
a whole insurance.
Dude,
deal.
it's in my. I can't get it out of my head. But I don't know how to do the green screen stuff. I don't know how to
They'll teach you all that, right?
That's what I'm hoping for.
My vision is making it a humor but serious blend.
Yes.
Of how do we get the United Nations and Congress and all the world leaders to get together and let me hold some MDMA trauma healing ceremonies. And so that way
for the people that run it.
Yeah. And like, here's what's
and at the end of it, everybody's just
kumbaya and low. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Dude, thank you for coming out here. I'm really glad we were able to put some time aside to do this. I appreciate you coming out here, man.
Absolutely.
Perfect. I'll see you next time, man.
Don't let your dingle dangle dangle on the deck. Don't let your dingle dangle dangle on the deck. Oh, pick up your dingle dangle, wrap it around your neck. Pick up your dingle dangle, wrap it around your neck. Well, I got a dingle dangle 10 feet long. I got a dingle dangle 10 feet long. And this is my dingle dangle song.